And we've got two of the all-stars from the Macy's Parade here with us today. Yes, the balloons, of course, but also the effervescent John Piper, who is the vice president of the Macy's Parade studio, and of course Ms. Amy Kuehl, who is the executive producer of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And they're going to give you a little overview about the experience here at the park, also the experience, what they do in New York, and some of the new stuff to expect this year. So I'll kick it off to them.
Great. Well, you jump in when you can, because I know you will. And we could be here all night, by the way, once you get us talking. This is an extraordinary year for us. It's the 14th year at Universal, and Macy's Holiday Parade has become one of their standards. And we're proud of that. 14 years ago, when we came down here with a germ of an idea, we thought it would be probably a 3-year program, but here we are ramping up to a 15-year anniversary. And the evolution of this parade has really been fantastic. Park numbers have gone up, and the parade has changed many times over the years, to the point where now we are building things specifically for the parade here, as opposed to bringing things always from New York. So parade in New York is really big, and in big city streets with really big buildings, and everything here looks really big because the buildings are a little bit smaller than they are in Manhattan. But it's an extraordinary parade. I hope you're going to stay tonight to see it all come together. John and the magicians at the Parade Studio are here. You've got a lot of your team down here. And John could probably talk you through a lot of the new elements that we have. A couple new balloons and a gorgeous balloonicle, which I'm really proud of, which is reminiscent of what we do in New York, but different translation.
So for Universal, the Macy's Universal Holiday Parade, we bring balloons, falloons, tricaloons, balloonicles, balloon heads. We bring it all. Every element that has been in the parade in one form or another is also down here. As Amy said, we bring down some of the units that are a little bit smaller, but it works so perfectly with the design of Universal Studios Orlando, where you get to walk all around a back lot of a movie studio, and it's all been scaled so that it works perfectly with the camera angle. Well, we fit exactly into that with the size and scope of the balloons and floats and balloonicles and falloons and tricaloons and balloon heads that we bring. Brand new this year, the green stars, which are signature for the Macy's Holiday Parade in Universal. At the Macy's Parade in New York, we use our yellow and white stars, and the red stars that say believe, that follow Santa. Down here for the holiday, it's our green stars that we have specifically for them, and they're brand new. We have Happy, our hippo balloon, which does a special pre-show that I hope you all get to see, because it's one of the only times that a balloon gets to join in on the choreography, and it's a lot of fun, and all of the balloon handlers have a great time with it, as well as I'm sure you will. Brand new this year, and something that we're really kind of excited about, is that we made a series of Christmas lights, because we love the idea of these long balloons that can zigzag and float and do all this animation through the park. And we added another little bit of fun to it, a little Macy magic, where they will, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in here or not so well. They light up. They go on and off, and so we have the flickering Christmas lights in each color, and they go through the park. And as we get closer to the holidays and the park does the parade a little bit later, then they really illuminate. We did it, anytime you have to do rehearsals here, you have to do it after the park is closed. So you should have been here at midnight last night. It looked great. It really looked fantastic. And across the way, there is another closed area, a roofed area, that is the annex to this building. And there we have our floats, including the one that the guy in the red suit always comes in. That comes in last. But leading the parade this year, it's not a float, it's a balloonicle. Now that's when you have a balloon and a vehicle all combined. So the turkey that leads the parade in New York will be leading the parade this year here in Orlando, and it's a balloonicle. And we call it a balloonicle because via clune just didn't sound right. Other things you want to talk about?
No, I'm just thinking what we can make a vehicle.
We have tricaloons in the corner.
Yeah,
our,
those are great.
from
And
the
our
Nutcracker.
banner is new as well.
Brand new banner.
Yeah. No, we've had extraordinary joy working on this parade and putting our minds together, thinking about what we could do here. John mentioned rehearsals, and I think that's just the greatest thing, because in New York we have absolutely no ability to rehearse. We get one shot, we start uptown, and we go straight downtown. Here we get the joy of doing it every single day. And I really like walking around the park at 3 or 4 o'clock when a lot of their guests are already lining the streets and awaiting what's going to come. So I think it's a beautiful part of the experience for everybody coming to Universal.
And speaking of that experience, very much like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, where all the people walking in the parade are employees of Macy's and their spouses or friends. And this has been our tradition since 1924.
Yes.
The employees put on the parade. Well, here at Universal, it's that same feeling, because not only do the employees put it on, but they invite their guests. Guests from the park are able to come and participate as balloon handlers and have the experience. If they can't come to New York and do it, they can come to Orlando and have the experience of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. So you said the turkey, which was in New York, is leading that parade here. Is that every year that you guys do that? Like the one leading in New York is leading here? Is that?
So in New York we have a very, very large turkey. It's a float, as John was making the difference between float and balloonicle. In New York we have a huge float. It's probably almost 30 feet tall and flapping wings and really gorgeous eyes, and we usually have talent. We've recreated that as a balloonicle, which is absolutely stunning and brand new. So we're really melding the traditions in the size and scale that we can down here as we have in New York.
In New York, everything has to be made so that it can disassemble, collapse, fold up, whatever it takes, in order to go through the Lincoln Tunnel the night before. And then there's a massive setup of over 200 people and 5 40-ton cranes to put it all together to get ready for Amy to cut the ribbon in the morning and for them to all follow her downtown. Then they have to disassemble again in order to go back through the tunnel to get to New Jersey. Here we have our own tunnel. It's that doorway right there. So every balloon has to be designed and manipulated, and we train the pilots and the handlers so that they can squeeze them through that 20 by 20 door. We cannot do a balloon that won't fit through the door. Similarly, when you see the floats and the balloonicles, they have to be able to fit underneath the annex that's over there, and they got to fit through the gate that enters the park and goes to the parade. And there's one part of the parade that's called South Street. It rounds the corner from the New York area, and that's very tight. And all of the pilots, we train them to manipulate the balloons, but we do that in the middle of the night when it's dark. Today they're going to have a rude awakening. Oh my God, there are telephone poles! But they'll do fine. They've all done a really good job through all of the training, but everything has to be scaled so that it can fit through the park. But like I said in the beginning, the good news is the park is scaled. It's designed for a movie set, and that's what makes it integrate so beautifully. And really, I think it's just fantastic when you see it all viewed together.
And there really is getting great joy getting Big Man Santa through that 20 by 20, because he's got to take a deep breath in order to get out.
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah.
How many handlers and pilots are needed for the parade?
You have to have a pilot for each and every balloon, and if it's a longer balloon like the Christmas lights or our Wiggle Worm balloon, then it needs a co-pilot in the rear as well. The handlers are based on how many numbers of lines. I think we're at about
200 handlers.
Yeah,
or so, right, John?
yeah, about 200.
And how many pilots does it actually, or how long does it take to train the pilots? And do you have any crazy stories about training any of the pilots to do this?
That's an excellent question. It does take a good amount of time. It takes 14 years, as a matter of fact. We started training the pilots the very first year we got down here using the same program that we use for the pilots who fly the balloons in New York, with safety being our highest protocol, of course, and then understanding the aerodynamics and the whimsy of balloons in a parade. I am very proud to say that a lot of the pilots that are here at Universal have been with us for
They've come
years.
up, right? And they've come up to New York to work on that parade.
Yeah, they've earned their stripes to actually fly in the Thanksgiving Day parade as well.
How can guests
Be part of the
Be
parade.
part of the parade? We actually have a few options. They can sign up through our American Express. We also have annual pass holders, and we also allow our guests to participate too. So I'll find out more information about that for you.
Yes.
I know helium has been in very short supply and expensive lately. Can you talk a little about what it costs to keep this parade in the air?
Well, just like the parade in New York, we always consider it our gift. You don't really talk about the cost of gifts or the price of gifts, so for you, it's free. Anybody else?
And helium has actually come online a little bit more in the recent years that they have more processing plants, so it's not as hard to get anymore.
So we'll have time for one more quick question, and we'll head to the reception.
Are there any floats or balloons that have been in the parade every single year?
In this parade, we've always had a version of the stars. And the elf?
Not,
The elf?
wasn't in the first
No?
year. So the stars are the only thing that have been in from day one, but these are new stars because we
There's
fly
probably
in New
floats
York
that have
once a
been-
year, and we fly in Orlando like 30 times plus
Santa, but
rehearsals,
not the Santa.
and you
It's
have
been different.
lovely sun. We really like coming down here, but our balloons don't get to put on the sunscreen quite as well as you do, and so it takes a toll.
Of course, the things that are always in the parade in New York are always here as well. The marching bands, lots of balloon handlers always, and then just like in New York, yep, and just like in New York, you'll always have Santa at the end of the parade.
So we'll actually have time for some breakout interviews with Amy and John over at the reception area.